From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zahra Syed. Our top story for today. The family of Malcolm X has filed a $100 million lawsuit against the FBI, the CIA, and the New York Police Department, or the NYPD, accusing them of involvement in his 1965 assassination. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump, representing the family, claims the agencies conspired to assassinate the activist, failing to prevent his death. The lawsuit alleges that a corrupt relationship between law enforcement and Malcolm X's killers enabled the murder. It contends the federal agents in the ballroom during the shooting did nothing to intervene. The family's legal action follows the exoneration of two men wrongly convicted for the crime. They were cleared after a New York judge found a miscarriage of justice with key evidence withheld by prosecutors. The NYPD declined to comment, and the CIA and FBI have not responded to the lawsuit. Malcolm X, a key figure in the civil rights movement, was 39 years old when he was murdered. He was a lead spokesman for the Nation of Islam, which advocated separatism for Black Americans. In 1964, he left the group and converted to Islam, making the Hajj pilgrimage that same year and rejecting his previous beliefs relating to racial separatism. A Nation of Islam member confessed to killing him in New York in 1965 February. President-elect Donald Trump's transition team is reportedly compiling a list of senior military officers involved in the controversial withdrawal from Afghanistan 3 years ago. The team is considering whether the officers could face court-martial for their role in the operation. Trump's team is weighing the creation of the commission to investigate the events surrounding the U.S. pullout, which ended America's 20-year presence in the country. NBC News reports that the commission would focus on those directly involved in the decision-making process. It will assess how the withdrawal was carried out and whether military leaders could face charges, including treason. A source familiar with the plans told NBC that the investigation is being taken very seriously. Matt Flynn, a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, is reportedly playing a key role in the effort. The chaotic exit of U.S. troops from Afghanistan's Kabul's airport was heavily criticized by Republican lawmakers. It has been blamed on the Biden administration's handling of the withdrawal. Concerns over press freedom are escalating as President-elect Donald Trump intensifies legal attacks on media outlets. Trump's lawyer Edward Pulsick has demanded $10 billion in damages from the New York Times and Penguin Random House. He's accusing them of defamation over critical reports and books. One target was the book Lucky Loser, which examined Trump's financial history, while another was a Times article detailing his controversial record and impeachment. Legal experts warn that such tactics, which could tie up media outlets in costly legal battles, may have a chilling effect on journalism in the United States. Trump, who has long vilified the media, has faced backlash for his attempts to stifle critical reporting. Observers say such legal threats raise alarm about the future of press freedom under Trump's administration, drawing comparisons to tactics used in repressive regimes to silence the media. Deputy Editor-in-Chief of Thomson Reuters Foundation, Barry Malone, says Trump's legal threats may be designed not to actually win damages, but to tie the media up with time-consuming and often prohibitively expensive cases. Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody has filed a lawsuit against Federal Emergency Management Agency, or the FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell and former supervisor Marnie Washington. The suit accuses them of civil rights violations in the aftermath of Hurricanes Helen and Milton. The hurricanes, which struck Florida in late September and early October, caused significant devastation, killing 250 people and inflicting billions in damage. The lawsuit claims FEMA withheld aid from Trump-supporting Floridans, alleging political discrimination. Moody is demanding damages and a court ruling on the violation of civil rights under federal law. The complaint follows accusations that Washington directed relief teams to bypass homes displaying Trump signs in Lake Placid. Washington later was fired, and FEMA condemned her actions as contrary to its core values. However, Washington defended her actions, claiming safety concerns led to the decision, not political bias. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has expressed support for the lawsuit, calling such discrimination unacceptable, especially in the wake of a disaster. California will rename more than 30 places across 15 counties to eliminate a derogatory term for Native American women. The move follows a law signed by Governor Gavin Newsom in 2022, which bans the use of the word squaw. Assemblymember James Ramos, who championed the bill, said the term dehumanizes Native American women. The California Natural Resources Agency has been tasked with renaming streets, bridges, cemeteries, and public buildings that use the slur. The California Advisory Committee on Geographic Names will implement the changes by January 1st after consulting with Native American tribes. This announcement follows a similar action by Palisades Tahoe Resort, which changed its name due to the term's racist and sexist connotations. The Department of Interior also removed the slur from federal place names, replacing it in more than 600 locations. Legal experts are sounding the alarm as President-elect Donald Trump considers pardoning those involved in the January 6, 2021 Capitol riots. They warn that such actions could undermine the U.S. Constitution, sending a dangerous message that the president has unchecked power over criminal laws. Trump, who has yet to concede in his 2020 loss, has called the riot a day of love and described the rioters as patriots. The insurrection resulted in damage to the Capitol, injuries to more than 140 officers, and was deemed an act of domestic terrorism by the FBI. Despite strong opposition from lawmakers and attorneys, Trump could legally issue these pardons as the Constitution grants presidents the power to pardon offenses against the United States. Public opinion remains divided, with a significant portion of Americans, including Republicans, opposing such moves. If carried out, Trump could face political fallout, including potential impeachment. The federal government has filed criminal charges against more than 1,500 people linked to the Capitol riot. More than 1,000 people have pleaded guilty or been found guilty. The FBI is still searching for more people who participated in the attack. Progressives are fiercely opposing the possibility of Rahm Emanuel becoming the next chair of the Democratic National Committee, or the DNC. Reports surfaced that Emanuel, a former congressman, Chicago mayor, and President Biden's ambassador to Japan, is considering the role. Current DNC chair Jamie Harrison is not seeking re-election. While Emanuel has influential backers, including political strategist David Axelrod, his potential leadership has sparked widespread criticism from the left. Critics argue Emanuel's neoliberal policies have alienated working-class voters and failed to address key issues. Progressives' voices on social media, including Jonathan Cohn and Matt Duss, warned Emanuel's leadership would further distance the party from its core voters. Critics insist Emanuel represents the wrong direction for the Democratic Party. They say he will potentially worsen its appeal to working-class Americans, which some say was to blame for the party's devastating loss in this month's presidential elections. Pope Francis calls for genocide probe into Israel's Gaza war. Details come after the break. Stay tuned, and we will be right back. Welcome back. Pope Francis has called for a genocide investigation into Israel's ongoing war in Gaza. In a book released this week, the pontiff has expressed deep concern for Palestinians suffering from famine and a lack of aid, noting the tragedy unfolding in Gaza. He said, "What is happening in Gaza has the characteristics of a genocide." Pope Francis urged a thorough investigation to determine if the war meets the legal definition of genocide. His call follows a UN expert panel's conclusion last week that Israel's actions in Gaza align with genocide traits. Meanwhile, the International Criminal Court is considering war crime charges against Israeli leaders, and a South Africa-led case against Israel for genocide is gaining global support. Family members of an Al Jazeera cameraman have started a hunger strike until he is allowed to leave the Gaza Strip to get medical treatment. Fadi Al-Wahidi was wounded severely on October 9th in a direct Israeli attack and has been denied treatment for more than a month. His mother, Hiba Al-Wahidi, spoke to Anadolu news agency about her son's health condition. He has been admitted in the Al-Hulu International Hospital in Gaza City for more than a month. Al-Wahidi said her son, who was severely wounded in the Israeli attack, has suffered a partial paralysis. He will be paralyzed if he does not receive treatment and multiple operations. Al-Wahidi called on international institutions and organizations to take necessary actions to remove her son and other patients in the region to open the border crossing. Israel's bombardment of Gaza has entered its 409th day with devastating consequences. On Monday, Gaza's health ministry reported that Israeli airstrikes killed 76 Palestinians and wounded 158 in just 24 hours. Amongst the dead were 17 people in a raid near Kamal Adwan Hospital and 7 more in a bombing near Al-Jallah Street in Gaza City. Since dawn on Monday, Israel has killed 46 Palestinians, 30 of them from northern Gaza. Earlier on Sunday, local authorities reported Israeli strikes killed 96 Palestinians and injured 60 others in northern and central Gaza. Most of these Israel's killings took place in Beit Lahia, where Israeli fighter jets hit a 5-story building, killing about 50 people. On Monday, 4 people, including 2 children, were killed in an attack on tents housing displaced families in the Al-Mawasi safe area near Khan Yunis. Meanwhile, in southern Lebanon, Israel's airstrikes have intensified, killing at least 26 people, including 8 in the city of Nabatia. Amid escalating violence, the U.S. envoy Amos Hochstein is scheduled to travel to Beirut Tuesday to negotiate a potential ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. Israel's genocide in Gaza has killed at least 43,922 Palestinians and wounded 103,898 since October 7th of 2023. The British medical journal The Lancet in last July estimated that Israel may have actually killed as many as 186,000 Palestinians in Gaza. In Lebanon, Israel has killed at least 3,481 people and wounded 14,786 since Israel's attacks on Gaza began in October of last year. Israel faces a genocide case at the International Court of Justice for its deadly war and violence in Gaza. London-based Kashmiri author Mirza Waheed has rejected the screening of the film adaptation of his novel The Collaborator in an Israeli settlement. Waheed criticized the Tammuz Shamran Film Festival's ties to Israeli cultural institutions, accusing them of complicity in Palestinian oppression. In an article for online outlet Literary Hub, he noted that the festival is backing by the controversial Shamran Cinema Fund, known for its association with Israeli settler activities. Waheed recently joined more than 5,000 writers in pledging to avoid collaborations with such institutions. He declared he would not promote the film unless it was withdrawn from the festival. The film, set during Kashmir's 1990s struggle against Indian occupation, follows a young boy involved with the Indian Army. Waheed reaffirmed his stance, saying, "While I cannot control the producers' decision, I can choose my response." India says it has successfully test-fired its first long-range hypersonic missile, marking a significant leap in the nation's defense capabilities. The missile is designed to carry various payloads over distances greater than 900 miles. Tracked by multiple range systems, the missile demonstrated precise terminal maneuvers and high-impact accuracy, confirming its successful flight. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh hailed the achievement as historic, positioning India amongst nations with such advanced military technologies alongside the US, Russia, and China. The milestone follows India's 2020 successful test of a hypersonic technology demonstrator. Hypersonic weapons can achieve speeds more than 5 times the speed of sound. Amnesty International has accused the United States allies, particularly the UAE, of supplying weapons to the RSF, including French-made military technology. The human rights watchdog recent report highlights violations of the UN arms embargo with evidence of UAE's armored vehicles being used in Sudan's war-torn regions. Amnesty warns that these weapons could be used in further war crimes as the conflict intensifies. The ongoing civil war in Sudan has sparked one of the world's largest humanitarian crises, displacing 13 million people in 19 months. Amid famine, disease outbreaks, and the collapse of its education system, Sudan's children are bearing the brunt of the war's devastating effects. The conflict, which erupted in April 2023 between the Sudanese Armed Forces and the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or the RSF, stems from a breakdown in negotiations over integrating the RSF into the army. Despite international efforts, including U.S. sanctions, peace talks have failed. Two Brazilian NGOs staged a demonstration against global hunger on Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro ahead of the G20 summit this week. The protest featured 733 empty plates, symbolizing the 733 million people worldwide suffering from hunger. Each plate was marked with a red cross representing a grave and placed on the sand in front of the Copacabana Palace Hotel. Local residents joined the protest at one of the city's most vibrant locations, expressing solidarity with the movement and urging leaders to take decisive action against hunger. The demonstration was organized by Rio de Paz and Achao da Cidadania. The G20 summit will convene leaders from 19 major economies, the EU, and the African Union. The theme is construction of a just world and a sustainable planet, and it will address global issues, including hunger. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum.